This
Okay.
conference will now be recorded.
I just measured, and you can fit something about 42 millimeters through the pass through physically, um, but you're never going to get it under the head. It looks like the tallest you can even get under the head is about zero point 0.8 inches, which is what is spec'd, I believe.
Okay. All right.
Um,
That's fine. I
now,
was just curious.
now the Nova 63 has a different nozzle in it now, and been getting some feedback from a few people. I'm going to get a few. It's shorter. It recesses farther into the head. And the reason is on the Nova 63, it's so big to get it on the crate, they have to pack all of the chiller and all that stuff underneath it. And to make that happen, they had to raise the bed up a little bit, which means they also had to make the laser um, lens move up with it so that you can still have the same amount of clearance. You know what I mean? So
Would
that
that
may be
head
worth
fit,
trying.
would that head fit the 35? You think?
Yeah,
Is that all the
it
kind of
it
screw stuff?
does. It does. It's got a shorter barrel on it, so it's able to recess further up into the head assembly. So I'm going to get one and I'm going to measure it, and then we'll see how beneficial it is. But he says it's beneficial for doing large like dog bowls and things like that. And even in the pass through, it'll gain you quite a bit more clearance. So I'll have some more clarity when I get a few of those headed my way, and I'll do
All
some
right. Thanks.
comparisons.
Thanks for following
Yeah.
up.
So, yeah, man. And I'm on a mobile hotspot because my internet's down until about 6 p.m. So if you lose me, I'll try to get back in. If it's problematic, I might see if a volunteer would be an organizer. So if I leave, it doesn't kill the meeting. So anyway, how's everybody doing?
Doing well.
All right.
Hi,
Well, if
Danny.
anybody has any questions,
Hi, Danny.
yeah, our primary thing is, answering questions. I do have a couple of backup topics, but if anybody has anything, feel free to kick your mic on and go for it.
I still got two questions here on the pressure regulator, which I would be coming from an outside compressor. There was
Okay.
something somebody was saying about it. It ends up draining all the time. You need a catch underneath of it, or it only drains when you lose the air pressure. I was trying to read about the thing, and of course, it's from somewhere overseas too, and the information is not very.
Gotcha. So the typical regulator is going to have usually either a semi-auto drain or a fully auto drain. And the ones that I'm showing in these pictures are semi-auto, and they're spring-loaded, and there's a seat, around there. And when you build up enough pressure in here, it holds down on that enough to seal it. And then when this pressure bleeds off over time, they'll eventually pop loose, and the condensate will just drain right out the bottom.
Oh, so you're gonna need something to catch that. Okay, that was my curiosity.
Right. Now they make some full auto ones that you can actually put a piece of this tubing in. It's got a quick release just like this on the bottom. Because I think actually even you can slide a tube on this and it helps get it, but it runs down the outside. It doesn't run down the inside. So, it'll collect it a little bit, but the full auto drain ones, you can connect a tube to it and even, output it, stick it out through a hole and put it in a Tupperware container or a milk jug or whatever, to collect it.
Okay.
So,
Second question is back to the computer. All right, I'm just trying to
mhm.
compare here because like my CNC, I have all the like the Aspire program in one computer, and I get my G codes and I put it in the computer because the computer runs the machine.
Mhm.
But in this case, you're bringing the code to the machine, and it doesn't really
Mhm.
have to be linked up with the computer, does it? I mean, we were talking about going back and forth to
It,
rooms. How often do you really have to go back and forth? That's kind of really where I was. Once you do the code, you put it in. I'm trying to understand that.
so you can run with your computer tethered to the machine, which is what most people do because you can send a job over, and if you need to make changes, you can make those changes and then just send it back over. That kind of thing. You can operate it over the USB or over the network. Now you can network that from directly from the machine to your PC, or through a network, a local area network, even, like a lot of people do have set up with the CNC and stuff. You can use the same Ethernet uh, runs, and routing and everything, if that's what you're asking.
Well, I'm kind of last week in discussing it, I was asking whether you really needed another. In other words, as long as I have a computer that's doing the program and I get my code and I bring it to
Mhm.
the machine. I was wondering how often I mean, I'm not making a million things. I'm making something. If I don't like it, then I'll go back and fix the code. But do I really need another computer? That's what I'm trying to decide, whether I really need a laptop.
Well, that depends on if you how you want to connect your machine, or if you want to run it completely untethered and carry the data back and forth on a USB thumb drive or something. All of those are possible.
Yeah, but in my setup, my computer's 3 feet on this side of the wall, and that machine's going to be 2 feet on the other side of the wall. So I'm just going to pop a
Mhm.
cable through the wall.
Yeah, yeah, you can do that. So, and Ethernet or USB would do that, and you'd technically be permanently connected at that point.
Okay. They were just talking about running around out of the room to get to the computer, and I was just how often you really have to do that. That's kind of what I didn't understand because I know how the CNC works, but I didn't know how this worked. That you really need to
Gotcha.
keep play with the
Yeah,
program.
you don't have to be connected to the machine to use Lightburn and design in it and that kind of thing. Initially, you need to be connected to it, of course, when you're setting it up, and anytime you're reading or writing data to the controller, whether it's a config setting or whatnot, or a file, uh, whatever work you're outputting, you'll have to be either connected for that part. Now you can send a file via USB. You can save it as an RD file, put it on your thumb drive, and then just go plug your thumb drive into the laser. But then if you misspell something or don't have your power right, then you can change your power on the fly, but that's kind of a pain. It's easier just to fix it in Lightburn and send it again. So most people operate as the machine is tethered to the computer all the time, because it's
But you
really
need to
easy
make
just to.
those
What's that?
adjustments like you're talking about to the burn. You can see it, and that's why you want to have a computer right there so that you can see if you need
Yeah,
to make adjustments and just do it as you're going along.
right. When you're dialing stuff in, you don't want to have to go back to the computer and generate that and then export it again, then plug in your thumb drive and then put it on there, and then, take it over to the machine and then call it up on the hit file and hit enter and hit start. It's a drawn out process when you do it that way. When
So
you
if you
can
have a
just hit a button and it's autonomous.
okay, so if you have a computer hooked up to it, you could, if it's starting to cut and you think you need to make changes, you can do it right there and stick it in the
Hmm.
program as you're going along.
Well,
No,
well, you
no,
make the
no,
changes
no,
and then
no.
just start to send the file again.
Okay.
Yeah,
John,
you can't
you can
do
actually,
anything with it.
John, you can pause it. You can do your changes, and then, or you can pause it and then hit escape, and it'll stop the machine, and then you can make your changes in your file. And then on Lightburn, you can go into when you do a preview of your cut. It'll say you can actually use the slider bar and find out where you want to resume from. If you wanted to restart mid job, and you can say start from here, send a laser from here, or start from here, so you can resume a job kind of midway through if it's a slight tweak. Otherwise, you can also, if it's a matter of power or speed, you can pause your machine and actually go into your control panel on your machine. Like I do a lot of photos, and so as I'm tweaking, trying to get my min and max just right based on the substrate, I'll just pause the machine and then adjust either my min or max power or my speed. Um, as the job's actually going, I'll just hit pause and then hit menu, go down to the power, adjust, hit enter and then escape and then start. And you don't want to hit escape twice, by the way. It'll stop your job and start over. But if you do it once, it'll resume there. So you can do your tweak on the fly that way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Ultimately, there are a number of different ways to do it, and the way you do it is going to be whatever's best for your particular workflow. Kind of, you'll have to kind of feel that out and find the best workflow. The smoothest thing for you, depending on your setup and everything.
Okay, thanks.
John, if you want to, you're welcome to come back up here. And me and Jared lives close by. You can see two operations.
How
Jared.
you doing, Danny? Yeah, that's a possibility. Long haul, though.
Okay.
We
By
go
the
way back.
way,
All right.
Danny is an awesome host and has a fantastic setup. Man,
I've been to Danny's shop already. I've been there.
oh man.
All right. So, does anybody else have any questions? I do have a couple of topics that we can fill in with, but all right. So the fiber thing, I just did a class with Zach. and that was phenomenal. So I have a better handle on it. I still didn't absorb probably 90% of what he was telling me, because I mean, this guy's deep into it. It's awesome. I had a good time doing it. It was like 4 hours long. So um, I feel a whole lot better about the fiber and running it and power and speed, so that when these things launch, we'll have an idea of some settings that we can start off with and things like that. So you guys don't have to drink so much booze and take so many aspirin, because I see that's the two things that people need around them when they do a fiber. Luckily, I don't drink, and I don't like aspirin. I'll take Tylenol. So anyway, that hopefully that'll help everybody, that I can pass that stuff along. So he was a great instructor. I mean, he was on par with the level. I mean, if as the Thunder folks. So if anybody's got a fiber or looking at one, um, it's a good deal. Hey
The
man.
fibers ain't that bad, Brian. Come on, man.
Hey,
Did
I
you use
know.
CPAD 3 on that? What were you focused more on the software or the hardware side of it, or just kind of all of the above?
uh, a little bit of all of it, like setting the timing and making sure the lens calibrations are right and all the settings and the IO ports, depending on how it's configured, autofocus. We went through all of it, and the operation of every function in EasyCAD, from top to bottom, and some nuances and some stuff, some bugs in it that there are workarounds for, and some pretty neat tricks. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was well rounded.
Are those bugs on the software side or
Yeah,
like
it's the stuff in
CAD or
EasyCAD. It has to do with how many loops, and how many your totals are, and whether it resets. It has to do with the counting of the different passes and how they work together, because there's three different kind of parts to that, and you got to do them just right. There's a way that you can do it where everything comes out great. So yeah, it was cool. It was definitely worth it.
are those bugs supposed to be fixed, or is that just something it's just more of a nuance
And
than a bug?
yeah, it's just a nuance. There's a workaround. If you have it set up right and you know that it's there, then it's never a problem. So.
That's a whole different kind of laser, right? The fiber ones, it's a different tube.
It,
Or,
it is. It's a fiber source, and it's a different wavelength. It's 1,064 nanometers instead of 10,006, whatever CO2 is. And it ablates metal. It does all the stuff CO2 won't typically. So, and it does it fast. 5, 8,000, 10,000 millimeters per second. It's crazy. So the other thing, and let me pull this back up. And how many of you have had problems connecting or staying connected with Lightburn, or if you have a Mac, the FTDI problem and all of this and that and the other, or seen all that stuff? Um, if you have a Raspberry,
you come in and out,
here we go.
Brian. You're coming in and out.
This is the Lightburn bridge, and it should be popping up on the screen. I think I hit share.
Yep.
Brian,
I'm
your audio
probably going to
cut out for
crash
a little while.
I'm probably
Uh,
going to crash my internet connection.
everyone else
But
may
this is
want
the
to turn the
Lightburn
camera off
bridge.
for 'em.
Yeah, yeah, that's okay. Anyway, it's a Raspberry Pi. It's built on that, and Lightburn developed it so you can choose that when you're setting up your machine now, and you run it as a box, and it gets rid of all the sequencing issues, with the USB that you have with the AirSyst. It gets rid of all the communications issues. It gets rid of driver issues, because there are no drivers, and you connect it like you would a smart bulb or something. You log into it the first time, get it on your wireless network connection, and then you hook it right to the laser via Ethernet, and then Lightburn knows to connect to it and find it automatically, and then you're bridged, and it's virtually bulletproof. I've been using it for about a week, and it's fantastic. So,
And what does that
so
accomplish exactly?
it gets rid of all of the FTDI Mac driver problems that are constantly plaguing Lightburn and hitting us with hundreds of service calls, for one. Um,
Oh, so it's
because
just
Mac
geared. It's
ships.
geared mainly towards Mac.
No, well, I'm running all Windows stuff. Yeah, it's geared toward Windows also. It eliminates the USB drivers altogether. You don't even have to worry about FTDI anymore, because you're not communicating
Oh
that
wow.
way. So yeah,
Okay.
It's a direct LAN bridge, and it communicates directly with Lightburn. It's ported right into the software. So
Yep.
it's spectacular, and no camera support yet, but there's 4
Well, you got
USBs on that thing, and he's working on getting a camera to work with it across that the same way, so that way you can untether your laser completely. It'll be Wi-Fi
I was
and
gonna
rock
say you
solid.
can if you get the Wi-Fi model
It
of the
is.
Raspberry Pi.
It requires the Wi-Fi. That's how the whole thing works. So it turns
That's
your
what I'm
laser
saying.
in. Yeah.
Now your laser is completely Wi-Fi. Then
Yep. Absolutely.
that'd be good.
So yeah, that's a big deal to me, and it will be to everybody I think that's into that stuff. So he's going to distribute the image so that you can get your own Pi and set it up for free, and then he's also I think going to offer a kit that already has a card. It's already set up and all that. You just kind of plug and play,
I was gonna
and that'll
say
be coming later.
some people may not be able to use Raspberry Pi. It's not the easiest thing to work with if you don't know
Right.
what you're doing.
Right. So he's got a kit that'll come with everything. You just slide the card in and power it up and then follow the directions. So that's
Yep,
coming too.
that's
So
awesome.
it's cool. Yep. So
That's
that's the two
basically
things
for
that I have.
Wi-Fi, right? That's basically for only for Wi-Fi.
Um, yeah. I mean, it's made to be Wi-Fi because that's generally everybody's running a Wi-Fi network somewhere off their computer. If you didn't want it Wi-Fi, you would just connect direct, and then it wouldn't even be a thing because you'd just be Ethernet. And
But
unless when they get the camera functionality in it, it'll allow you to untether the camera, for longer runs or whatever. So it still may be beneficial even if you're going to hardwire your LAN.
yeah, but Raspberry Pis, I mean, from my experience, isn't the best uh, with cameras.
Yeah, well, like I said, he's working on that part, and he's got that thing running lean. He explained how he did it, and I don't really understand all of it, but that thing, it's probably not using 20% of its processing power, so it's got plenty left over. So
Oh,
it's
nice.
real lightweight what it does. It's basically a pass through. It basically
Yeah.
collects the data and just reroutes it over to the laser. So
Oh. Now the bug fix
neat.
you're talking about,
Neat.
that's mainly just for the Mac computers, right?
Uh, Mainly, it's giving them fits, with that FTDI driver and them changing their USB protocols and things like that, I think. But yeah, it'll virtually eliminate all of that. It still works
Okay.
on Windows, and I still like it because it is basically a bulletproof connection right to Lightburn without
Yeah.
any variables, So,
Huh.
but it's going to be neat, and I'm sure he'll reply with
Maybe
an
maybe they
update whenever
can
he deploys it.
maybe once he gets that ironclad, maybe they can look at incorporating that into the design of the lasers potentially.
Yeah, you never know.
Since
I envision
I mean
like a 7 or 10 inch
since
touch screen with everything on it, the chiller, the temperatures, the settings for everything, all of that, all in one
that's what I'm
unified
talking about.
system.
I mean, once you
Yeah, and have telemetry so that you can update firmware, and the technicians can remote in and look at the values in the telemetry. I mean, that would be great. But then the lasers would cost $100,000, and nobody'd want to buy them. So. Anyway, all right. Anybody else got anything? Like I said, I didn't mean to burn up all the time. If somebody's got questions, feel free to jump in and go for it. All right. Um, well, let's see. I already used up both of my filler materials. So, Jason, how you doing, man? He can't hear me. He's typing. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. He must have stepped away for a minute. Um,
Who was the question to?
what's that? Oh, I was just seeing if Jason was listening. I was going to see how he was feeling and everything. He was under the
I
weather
think he
for a
dropped.
while. So, um, okay, I got nothing.
Well, the good thing is email. I mean, I paid for mine up front. I got my 63 coming. They tell me that it should be in port sometimes next week. And go go from there. I mean, excited, nervous. Trying to get everything kind of get ready to go because I got I got that big boy coming at 63. So then I got to figure. Then I got to learn everything and figure out some files and everything else and figure out the software. And
Absolutely.
stop.
Yeah, the waiting's the hardest part, man.
Yeah, it too. Now I start seeing all these posts that were talking about, you know, they were supposed to get theirs at the beginning of September, and then they were talking about November and December and stuff, and then got it like next week or 2 weeks after or whatever. And I started getting kind of nervous. I was like, well, man, I wish I'd have ordered a lot sooner because the main thing I wanted to have it, a little bit of time before Christmas to try to get in on the hustle a little bit for Christmas to make a little of the money back since I went so big with the machine. And then I started worried about that, and then I got that, and then I've been sending emails back and forth saying that I'd already paid. And I was like, well, you know what, man, it could be actually here at the beginning of October if it goes as planned as the emails say. So we'll see.
What are you gonna make, Dave?
Truthfully, I don't know yet. I mean, really, I'm kind of a stay-home dad. I watch the baby, and then her son is autistic, so somebody has to be here to put him on the bus and get him off and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of limits me of what I can actually go out and do. So I'm kind of stuck at the house. So I've been researching the lasers and stuff for, I don't know, about 3 years now or so. And just didn't, I was going to start off with one of the eBay and because didn't have the money or whatever. And then with COVID and everything, we were going to buy a house. She took out her 401k type stuff. And then housing market all shot up. And we're like, hey, you know what, man, we're not paying that for stuff. So we went ahead and shot this out in the dark to try to get it started and get it rolling. And that way it gives me something to do and be able to help provide better for the house. And hopefully if I can get it up and going big enough and find my niche or a couple of niches, that she might be able to quit her job and let's just do it all together type thing because she kind of hates her job. So that's kind of the goal, hopefully.
Yeah,
But
I'm just kind of curious what everybody's making with them. Not just you, but everybody. I'm kind of curious. What are the main things people are making with them? I'm not trying to
truthfully,
steal anybody's
yeah,
business.
yeah.
Curious.
I'm in up being all over the place. Truthfully, in the beginning, I'm not gonna really know what exactly. I mean, I plan on probably making some acrylic sign, little LED sign type stuff. Probably, probably for the Christmas holidays, try to make some kind of ornaments and stuff. Keychains. I mean, stuff in the beginning, just some all different type material type stuff.
Anything out of the JDS catalog, right?
Yeah, I mean, anything. I'm in Hustle and Burn group too. They got a lot of stuff that people are doing. I go through it every day. That's all I really do is I go. I'm looking at different stuff for ideas and like, hey, that's a cool idea. That might sell out this way, something similar to that, or I'm gonna make a lot of stuff for family, for Christmas. That'll be my practice. They get all the stuff that's kind of not all the way par, but it still looks kind of cool. But really, because I'm in Houston, we have a place called Traders Village. It's like a flea market or whatever. I'm probably be hitting that up on the weekends, and then maybe even start once I get stuff dialed in a little and get things going a little bit. I'd like to do a lot of photos and stuff, but I hear a lot of people have a hard time, really dialing them in. So that's something I'm going to work towards. I mean, I figure it's going to take me a while to learn the software because I'm kind of completely brand new to all this stuff.
It's a piece of cake. It basically just comes to you in your sleep.
Right.
It's not that bad. It's really intuitive and good stuff. And honestly, coming into Lightburn, for people that have never worked with any other sort of vector design software or any kind of control software that's similar, it's really like picking up anything else. It's not that bad. Their instructions and hints and interactive help is pretty incredible too. So
but yeah, I mean, like one of the first things I'm gonna make after I dial in a little bit, I'm gonna make my baby here. You know, I'm gonna make her a big old nice custom toy chest type deal with different engravings and stuff on. Because like I said, I did go ahead and get the 63. I also looked at, you know, I can make Christmas decor for the yards, or you know, give some of the kids that are in high school that are football players or a band or whatever, just make different kind of signs for the yards. Um, really, like I said, I'm gonna try a little of this and a little of that and see
Yeah,
what sells, and
yeah,
then you know,
all of the above.
then I'll go look. I can tell my old lady, I said, well, if nothing else, man, I'll make acrylic fish tanks if I had to, man. It'll cut it to size, you know, what that. I mean, even if I had to, I would make stencils and go put people's yard addresses and stuff on their sidewalks if you had to, man. Anything just to get the machine paid off. I figure, you know, there's so many different ways you can hustle with it. You just got to figure out what works the best for you, and you slowly jump out this little way, and then whatever sells, you keep going with that, and you add a little something else. If it doesn't sell, you just kind of veer off to something else. You just kind of build it
Yeah.
up.
And then, yeah, a lot of people find they'll fall into that niche almost unintentionally, you know, and
Right.
find it. You know, you basically just fall off into it.
Right.
So, yeah, hopefully. So, there's a lot of success stories over here, you know, on the Thunder groups about people taking the leap and getting a laser. You know, I would starve to death if I had to make stuff and sell it on that
Right.
laser. I would. Uh, so I'd be buying my stuff off Etsy. We've got some links in our support thing, you know, some external links on files, and then we've got that one um, that he provided for reuse, you know, relicense, and
Right.
it's got a bunch of stuff in it, a lot of 3D stuff like trucks and boats and trains and things like that. So
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this one guy. I can't remember his name right now. I think it's Oliver or something. I mean, he does some bad. I mean, they're awesome 3D little things that he does on that 24, and I'm just like, man, you know, he's got it dialed in. He's got his system down. You know, uh,
mhm.
it's pretty cool. I mean, like I said, that Alicia, she's a hustle and burn administrator. You know, she's out here in Houston somewhere. I'm trying to hook up with her, go out and check her little new shop out, man. She's actually got a 63 and a 35,
Yeah,
and you know, I'd like to
yeah,
see
and
one in
she
action.
definitely hustles.
Oh yeah, man. But see, she's got it all tied up though. She's got the FFA through her kids, the high school thing going, man. I mean, she's got a
Yeah.
wrap on it, man. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
and then also I see some of these people that get lucky and land these, you know, 200-300 cups or something like that.
Hmm.
Truthfully, in my area, there's I know an owner of a bingo hall. He has 3 bingo halls. That's what I'm shooting at when in the beginning. Is I
Hmm.
talked to him a while back, and but he got real sick, so he hadn't been around. But his kid and his old lady, it's all family ran, you know. But he's got 3 different bingo halls, and they give out door prizes every night of
Hmm.
$20. It's like eight games, $20 each game. They give out a door prize. Sometimes it's 50 or whatever.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm wanting to work with him, and I'm going to make some little whatever for door prizes for advertising for them. If I can just get him to let me do that 1 or 2 times a week, wow, that's, you know,
Yeah.
up to $1,000 a week just on one place. So I mean, that's kind of what I'm
Yeah.
shooting for.
Yeah. You wiggle your feet in a couple of doors, and you'll be in good shape before too long.
Yeah, it'll work out. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm nervous and excited at the same time, but I know it'll work out.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Nothing to it but to do it, right?
exactly. That's what I tell my old lady. You know, once we put that big all the money into it, man, I don't have a choice but to do it. You know,
That's right.
see that I'm gonna be
You'll
able
do
to
well,
move out.
man.
See that I have to be moving out and be living inside the machine.
Hey,
What's your
David,
best?
this is Gene, and I'm up in Spring. I don't have a 63 or 60, the one of the big ones. I got a 35, but you're welcome to come up any weekend and take a look at it, and I can work with you on the software as well.
Oh man, that's great. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm right over here off of Louetta and 249 area, so I'm not that far from you.
Oh, I'm in that area every day. That's where I work. I work in that whole Louetta, 249, Willowbrook area. all day long. Matter of fact, I'm sitting behind Olive Garden on
Oh
1960
yeah,
right now.
I know exactly where you're at. Yeah, yeah. I'm just right down the road.
See, that's what makes this Thunder stuff so great, man. It's the Thunder
Right, they're
fam.
everywhere.
You
They're
know it?
everywhere. Everybody's real helpful too. I mean, that's like I said. I've really been looking into it for a while, and I've been interested in it, and just never had the money. And and then I found Thunder, and I started looking at all the reviews, all the people, and then I kind of make it a point to be here every week. I've been here almost every week for a while now, listening to new people coming in, myself, being new, and the people that are veterans, listen to what y'all have to say, and uh, trying to figure everything out. And that's one of the things, reason why I went with Thunder is one, yeah, who doesn't like American made, to help out our economy and everything else. But when you're wanting 30,000 for a damn laser, I mean, come on, man, when you get one half the price, that's double. I mean, quadruple the size. It's going to run like a beast, and you have support here. The support is what a big factor that sold it with me, and everybody helpful. And there's not very many people that are like, oh man, you know what?
Well,
I can't really help you there.
Yeah, you're still supporting local because we're out of equipment,
Right.
So
But
that's
I'm
cool
just,
too. Even though it
yeah,
is Chinese equipment, yeah.
right. But what I'm saying is, you
But
have U.S. support. You know what I'm saying? It's
oh yeah,
still
it makes a
everybody's
big
linked together.
difference.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Hey, Jason, you back on here?
So
I, th- I think I hear him.
What's the best way to bring in JPEG
Yeah, I
file?
got kicked.
Oh, look, JPEGs,
Little
Yeah,
internet lag.
most people run them
drag and
through
drop.
something first, or they just bring them in to Lightburn.
Oh, well, Lightburn has all the capabilities you need to dial in your image in a very intuitive way already without doing anything else to it. A lot of
Okay.
people do use an external program either because they have a way they want to do it, like Photoshop or GIMP or something like that. And then there's a myriad of different plugins and scripts and programs and applications that'll get one laser ready in a couple of clicks. You can accomplish the same thing by doing it yourself, and you learn about what each thing does as you're doing it. And I'm not one to talk because I can't do a photo worth of crap. I'm still practicing, but I don't have a lot of time. But all the stuff. Did you see Chris Lucasio's newest video where he did that? I think it was on acrylic. He made a new video on preparing an image in Lightburn, and I think all he uses is Lightburn. It was floating around on the House of Lasers site, and maybe some other places. But from what I understand, that thing is getting a lot of good feedback on the process that he showed in that video. So it may be worth a search, maybe in the House of Lasers group or the global group. I'll see if I can find the link for it. I don't want
Yeah,
to
if
do it
you
right
would.
now. It might kick my
Yeah,
internet off.
you know them more
Uh,
than I know. I won't get there because I've
yeah,
never heard any of the three things you mentioned.
I'll post it in the Thunder Global group and the Thunder Laser USA group. I'll find the link, a little later when my internet gets stable again. I don't want to crash it pulling up a browser window. So,
Is it that video? It's got that that kid on it in sepia.
yeah, I think so. It's the House of Lasers, but it's his electric car thing, Vantage Motors or something is what I think he renamed it, but it's still. But yeah, I believe it is that one. I haven't
I've
watched
seen
the
that a
whole
couple
thing. I
times.
just
I
saw it.
haven't watched it
Yeah, but I believe that is the correct one. So, all right. Anybody else got any questions?
yet.
yeah,
My
piggybacking a little bit
biggest
off of David's discussion there. I got the Nova 24 on its way. I got the little guy.
Okay.
Just new to this whole thing. Was wondering what some of the easy wins for like a local area are. There like common things that if you can corner a market in a local, just producing something pretty
I have
easily.
a couple of examples that work really well that I use. One is a buddy of mine in Wisconsin who's the tumbler king up there. will go a block down the street and take a video or snap pictures and get all of those businesses logos or whatever from the storefronts and whatnot, and go back and make them a custom whatever, a cup, a keychain, a puzzle that's a picture of their logo, or whatever it is, knickknack that they think might work well for them. And then he'll go back and park in that spot and walk up one side of the street and down the other and hit those and actually go out and shake hands and hand out promos.
Okay.
In the real estate, you can hit them on the front side and the back side. A lot of these teams have a lot of realtors in there, and they have meetings every Tuesday or every so often. And a lot of that's to bring in home inspectors and introduce new realtors and have training and do that kind of thing. But they bring in outside vendors to do closing gifts and things like that. And then you can catch the admin on the way out. Be sure and take a big tray of food, like some Chick-fil-A, cater breakfast, little sandwiches and stuff like that. And then on the way out, you can talk to the admin and give her one of those acrylic plaques that says world's best, admin or whatever, and show them that you can also do all of the awards and plaques and things like that they use internally with their agents as recognition. So you've got actually 2 revenue streams there in one vertical marketplace.
Okay.
At least.
And see, also from when I've been, because I've been researching that too. I mean, on the realtor type stuff, you kind of can hit them in 2 different ways too, because well, you gotta sound what you gotta do a little research so you know what sound like you really know what you're talking about. But because most of the closing gifts, they have like a cap on what they're allowed to give or whatever without having to pay extra taxes or whatever, however that works. And it's normally around $50 or $75, or a lot of realtors don't want to spend more than that. But if they're new and they don't know about it, you can let them know that you can put their logo or their name and information on the back of the board or on a gift card or whatever that goes with it, and it makes it a marketing issue, and they can do a total tax write-off for the marketing side of it. And then you can sell baskets for 100, 200, even 300, depending on what they're selling their house for, because there's a lady out of, I think, South Carolina that's booming with that. I mean, she's got it down. I mean, her baskets, I mean, I would never pay that for a basket, but she's selling them left and right, 15, 20 orders a day, she says. And she posts pictures of where she gets the stuff from, what she charges for them. I mean, it's especially if you're in like a big city area. I mean, there's a lot of people doing it, but there's so many realtors. There's so much out there to be able to get tied in. At least from what I've seen. At least from what I've been seeing. I mean, I haven't got out there and got it yet, but I'm gonna end up hitting that. It's just I got to get all my the computer part of it and then figure out the website type stuff and some of the commerce side of it or whatever. But there is that. I mean, a lot of people are doing the Etsy accounts. I mean, I don't know nothing about that. I mean, that stuff kind of scares me, but I mean, I'm gonna end up getting into it sooner or later. But that's what some people, that's another way that some people get into that. And then they do that. And then they also do the local stuff. I mean, I've even considered, like I said, I'm in Houston, so there's a bunch of busy streets. Like Gene was saying, like 1960s, real busy. There's places that, hell, I might just go park out there and just put out a couple tables and as they're driving by, try to get people in that way. I mean, there's just so many different ways that you can get into different stuff. I mean, I plan on making a bunch of keychains in the beginning because of material cost, and then you're also still learning. So I figured, start off with some of the smaller stuff. And like one guy said, you can, well, you got a smaller machine, but you can still do the same thing. It's just like with mine, I can do more of them at one time. But my machine, I'd be able to make, if not that I'd make that many in a day, but I can make 2,000 keychains and cost me like $200 in supplies. And if you sold them $1 a piece, you still made $1,800 profit. But you're not gonna sell them for $1. You're gonna sell them for $2.50, $3 a piece, or 2 for $5 or something. But it's just another. The way I look at it, when I go out to hustle, what I plan on doing is I want to have something that's in the few dollar range, because if you're at a flea market or something, people, they're out there to shop and have a good time and buy little things. But you want to kind of keep your a middle gift, like under $20, because that's what most people want to spend on something, is 20 or less. But you also have people that come out there that want to buy, something real nice, that are willing to spend 75, 100, 150 for something. But those are going to be far in between at flea market type stuff. So you want to have stuff that's a little bit cheaper that you'll sell more of and that's where you make your money at, and then you get
Okay.
nice, and also get your name out there, and you give out cards or have your little email, or I mean whatever little site thing they have.
Yeah, I've seen that like in downtown Nashville on Broadway, there's a bunch of souvenir shops, and there's one company, I don't know where they, how they got them, but they make a bunch of laser engravable stuff, things, knickknacks. And I started looking at their stuff, and it's everywhere, and they don't even clean the smoke and the soot off of it. They don't even wipe it off. I mean, it's still got that stuff all over it, and they're selling for 7.50, $8, and it's just a little piece of ply, with some stuff on it. It's
How,
crazy.
how does the laser do cut in acrylic? Does it cut it pretty good?
It loves it. Acrylic is one of the best mediums for CO2 there is. It's uniform, it's consistent, even across brands. If you have your settings right, there are no striations or anything. You can get a flame polished edge.
Oh, okay, no
It's
burning, not like the
oh
wood.
no, it's beautiful. I love working with acrylic. It's my favorite.
Okay.
That's
But the
also
key to
what makes
that,
them so good at safety glasses and safety windows in a lot of the machines. It likes the CO2 so much. It's a really good protector. It absorbs all of it easily. So that makes it a really good material to work with.
Thank you.
And cast is better than extruded if you're going to engrave. If you're just cutting things out, like making spirographs or something like that, you could probably just use extruded. But if you want that white, chalky, high contrast, white matte engraving, look, then you'll definitely want to use cast acrylic. It's the same composition. One, they squeeze through a die and extrude it, and the other, they pour it in a mold and cast it. And I don't know why it makes a difference, but it does. Just the way they mold it.
Okay, what was the JBS thing you were talking about?
air
Some
and impurities.
catalog?
JDS Industries.
They make
Yeah,
a
you
bunch
can
of
sign up with
things for
them.
stuff.
They make a bunch of ready to go laser engravable blanks, plaques, trophies, awards, acrylics, coffee cups, mugs,
Okay.
flasks, tumblers, anything you
Okay,
want.
I'll take a look at
Yeah.
them. I thought they were
Yeah,
And
pretty
and
I
easy.
mean with them, I think you have to have a tax number though already
you
established,
do,
if I'm not
but here's the
mistaken. Yeah.
cool thing about it. If you sign up with them and you get in there, they have a ready-made website and they customize it to your name and address and your company information. You can choose the prices that show up or choose not to show them at all. And they have a ready-made website that'll show you stuff even on vertical markets, like here's all your sports equipment and trophies, and tumblers for football teams and cheerleading. And here's one for all the teachers. And you can actually send them to that and they can inquire and it sends you an email. And then all you do is call JDS and say, hey, I need 6 of these and 12 of these and 14 of these and put
Yeah.
your order in.
You can set your
You don't even have
prices
to
too,
build a
because
site.
a
Yeah,
lot
you
of
can
them like
set
to
your
know what the
prices to be
prices are.
visible.
So you can if it's $10 through JDS, you can bump it up to 14, and the only thing they're gonna see is 14, not the 10.
Yeah.
So
So it's
you can actually
customizable on the
just
front
go.
end to look customized to your stuff. It's
Yep.
neat.
And they ship overnight.
Yep.
Or if you have one
So,
local like I do, you just go pick it up.
oh, do you have one close to you?
I got one like 15 minutes from my house.
Oh, dude, that's cool.
15.
You blow a lot of money that
I
way.
yeah, I have, but I made a lot of money that way too.
Absolutely.
But
That's what it takes,
yeah, I mean, all I gotta do is give them an hour notice. As long as
man.
it's in stock, I
Do a
can
will
place the
call.
order online. Yep, do a will
Yeah.
call, go pick it up
Yeah.
an hour after I order it, and it'll be sitting there waiting.
Bam.
What are you
That's
making,
good.
Jason? You've been around this thing for a while. What are you making? I'm not trying to steal your business. I'm just curious.
I make rotaries.
Yeah, I can see that. I can
No,
see that. The
no,
question, the question
I mean,
is, are they better than Thunder Lasers Rotary?
They
they
are
are
Thunder
Thunder
Lasers
lasers.
Rotary.
I wasn't sure about that. I was kind of reading. I wasn't sure.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
the other one's
And
the
they are. They're
imposter.
that.
But
Uh,
no, like before the rotaries, I mean, I did basically I threw stuff at the wall or whatever stuck. Um, so
mhm.
I mean, and where I'm at, there's several people that do um, laser engraving, but where I found my niche is I'll do basically anything anybody brings to me. I won't typically turn away anything. Um, So from 100-year-old heirloom to brand new one of a kind rifle, or whatever, it don't matter. I typically don't turn anything away.
I hope you
Um,
got a good waiver.
Yeah, you got a little
well,
experience. Not everybody picks that kind of stuff up.
yeah, it's
Yeah, that's right.
it's a
If
lot
hey,
of hit and miss, and very nerve wracking. I can tell you that. I mean, I've done some stuff that's
yeah, yeah,
100
yeah. When it
years
pays
old
off,
or
it pays
plus.
off good.
Well, that's the thing too. Is I charge a lot of money for what I do, because I'm typically that phone call where someone's like, "Man, you're the last person I called. Nobody else will do."
Yeah, and you're taking a bigger risk if things are that old and that people are going to be unhappy quickly. And yeah, you ruined my million
Well,
dollar object here. So
it,
yeah, you're taking a bigger
it,
risk. That's like anything, though.
yeah. Well, that's like any other thing. I mean, if they're willing to do it and they want to do it and they're agreeable and they know there's a chance it could get screwed up, I guess kind of like going in for surgery. There's always a chance you could die, you know. But yeah, I would definitely have it on paper pretty good. But yeah, that is definitely what I'd call a niche
Yeah, it's
for
always
sure.
good to have a release form, written out. Hey, I'm not liable for any damage. I mean, as long as you know ahead of time.
Cool. Um, all right. Anybody else have any questions or anything?
Hey,
Hi,
Brian.
Brian.
Um, I heard Jen first. Hardeep, let me let ladies go first, and then I'll catch you right after her. Okay,
Yeah,
sir?
no problem, no problem.
Thank you. Just quick question.
Hey,
I've
Jen.
been using the your test files whenever I do a new material,
Mhm.
and I'm switching over
Okay.
to acrylic. And I'm just wondering if there's any settings that I should be adjusting on that file, or just run it as is.
What thickness acrylic are you looking at doing those on?
I have both 1/8 and 1/4, so I'm probably going to use. I'm going to test both.
Okay, so that might be a little hot. I don't know. It might be. It's a little dense. You can always run it, because it does make a wide range of settings right there visible. So I would run it and see what happens. You might find that it's a little on the hot side, um, but that would be one of those things you'll just have to try.
Okay.
There's also some other generators that are on that article page with that material test file to the O2 Creative. It's a New Zealand site, and he's got some generators in there where you can generate your own test patterns more close to what maybe, for instance, the library might say about the acrylic or something like that. And that way you can generate your own tests, to your specifications instead of using that rubber stamp one that we put in the bottom there. Um, Another thing is you don't want to use a lot of air typically with acrylics. You want enough to mitigate any flame or flare up and keep those gases away, especially if you're doing it on the honeycomb and you're cutting, because
Uh-huh.
those gases will build up underneath the honeycomb in those pockets created by the acrylic laying flat over the honeycomb. And those can flare up on the bottom side a little bit. And if you see that, you can stand off the honeycomb with some magnets or something and put the material on top so that there's an air space between them and it still remains level. Or you could take the honeycomb out and use the blade system to affect a more positive result with that as well.
Okay.
Sorry about
Perfect. And
that,
you
guys.
said O2 Creative was the site?
Right. Yeah. If you found our material test file on that same article, there'll be a link in big letters. You can go to our support site and just search for that material test file, and that article will show up. And there's a link to it in that
Okay.
article that'll take you to it. And there's instructions there on how to use it and how to set it up and all that.
Perfect. I'll take a look. Thank you.
All right. Sure. Absolutely. Hey,
Hi,
Hardeep, what
Brian.
you got, man? How are you?
I'm very good. It's been a few weeks. I've just been busy on Thursday evenings. I got my machine, and the box was a little beaten up on the outside, and I was worried. But when I opened it up, everything was just perfect. So I'm really happy. It's working like a top. Everything is
Awesome.
working just beautifully. Getting to know it, and I'll have questions regarding some stuff. Maybe next week I'll join you guys and get them down. About the origin and absolute origin is working fine, and I think I'm doing something wrong with the current
I see.
position and
Now
user already,
you should,
So, but
you can
everything is
also
working great. I
great.
haven't got the accessories from Texas yet, though.
Okay, we can check on that. I'll tell you what. Anytime you have a question, or if you run into an
Brian,
issue with Origin or any of that, um, you can email support
Brian,
at
can you hear me?
thunderlaserusa.com. Can you hear me? Are you there? There's a lot of
Hello.
feedback from someone. I'm not sure who it's from. Um, can you hear me? I wonder if you can see a text. Um, I don't know. Can you guys hear me? I can
Yeah,
see
we,
Yeah,
we
you.
can
I can
hear
hear you.
you.
Sure.
All right. Hey, Hardeep. Maybe having some background noises. There we go. Can can you hear me? How about now? You can hear me? You've got your mic muted. You can email support at thunderlaserusa.com. And
Okay.
if you have any questions, and you don't have to wait until Thursdays, we can answer you almost immediately. And then if we can't solve it with a knowledge base article, we can set up where we can remote in and assist you and help you set things up or whatever you need. So don't be shy. Feel free to email us and we'll be glad to help. So
Okay, I'll do that, Brian. Thanks.
absolutely. Absolutely. And glad you're enjoying your machine.
It's wonderful. 100% happy with it. Yeah,
That's what I like to hear.
yeah,
Absolutely.
great.
I'm glad you could join us.
Yeah,
So,
thanks.
all right. Does anybody else have anything?
Hey, Brian, I've got a question
Yeah.
about the user origin.
Hmm.
It seems like before I upgraded to 9.24, I never had to work. I never had to set the program to user origin. 90% of the time, that's what I use.
Hmm.
I use the camera once in a while, but most of the time it's user origin. And
Okay.
after I upgraded to 0.24, I have to set user origin on every single file. Is there a
Is
way
your
to
camera
get
on?
that default? Huh?
Yeah. If you've got your camera on, you need to turn it off. If you have your camera active, even if you're not using it, it's going to default you to absolute coordinates anytime you update the overlay or if you reconnect to the machine by right clicking on the devices tab.
Then that would make
Anytime it
sense because
communicates with the machine. Yeah. Yeah.
that's about the
So
time
yeah,
I
it's
upgraded.
Lightburn forces absolute coordinates on camera control, for obvious reasons, because what you see is what you get, but it does mess with you.
Okay, then I can just turn that off in the panel, turn it to none unless I need it, and then go from there, I guess. I think I lost everybody's sound.
If you have your camera on, I believe the solution is just to go in and select none. Or before you
Yeah,
send the job, you flip it back or catch it, or I'll miss it.
my
I'm sorry,
my
what's
two
out? Or
biggest
maybe I am. I don't
weaknesses.
know.
I lost everybody. Yeah, my two biggest weaknesses is forgetting to put it back on user origin, and I don't know what I do, but it seems like
Hmm.
every time I do anything in a file, I always use black. Was it 00 for my cut? And I don't know what I do, but
Hmm.
seems how no matter what I do on a file, it always moves it to the very top, and I keep forgetting to change it. And then I'll send it to the machine, but I've got to where I look at the controller to make sure that it's on the bottom. But
Hmm.
it seems like I always have to send it back twice.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that happens to me a lot too. But yeah, I think that'll. I think that sounds like what's happened to me in the past. So And I don't think there's a toggle to turn that on and off. I think it just makes it do that to try to keep it straight, try to keep it in line. So
I know there's a suggestions that people are, it's starting to gain popularity in the suggestions to make a dedicated cut layer and allow it to always be last. Hopefully Jason will be able to incorporate that somehow. Or
well, I mean, there's already stuff in the optimization settings like cut inner circles first or inner objects first, so that it'll do the, like if you were doing a keychain, it'd cut out the whole, for the key ring before it would cut out the whole key ring. And then there's a lot of adjustments in there on how it processes that stuff, and you can change. And there may be already a way in there if you have the settings tweaked just the right way for it to actually accomplish that. I'd have to dig into it a little deeper. But the optimization settings are pretty controllable in there, and there's quite a few options.
yeah, I've got mine set to do all the inner shapes first, but I haven't been able to figure a way to do the cuts after the engraving or the lines.
Well, I mean, if the engraving should automatically be on a different layer, right? So the cut, you would just move it up in the order of operations, or down to the bottom
Right,
of the list.
right. And manually doing it, I mean, I will make a file and make sure that it's always on the bottom, and I'll cut it. Most of my files I just save to my library. I don't save the Lightburn version of it. I just save it to the library. But for whatever reason, I can drag that same file back on the screen, and my engraving will always be last.
That's because you didn't save it as a Lightburn file, so it doesn't have any of that layer data in it.
That might be.
So if you save it as a Lightburn file, no matter what you set your settings for, as long as you open and not import that Lightburn file, it will maintain and honor all of those settings that are dictated in the file. If you do what you did, it's liable to just save the vectors in the library, and then whatever settings you default to when you start the program is right back what it goes to.
That's probably what the problem is. I just save everything in the library. I quit saving the Lightburn files, a while back, because it was just so easy. It's so much easier to put it in the library and drag it right back over when I need it.
The other option would be to go in and set the values the way you want. And I believe there's a button in there somewhere to set those as default or save those as the default settings, the way you have your palette set up already, and then it should stick after that.
I thought that default though was only for the power and speed settings. That's not for the location.
I'd have to go in there and look. Let me go in here and see. I'm going to try to open up a program here without, it shouldn't affect the internet, so hopefully it won't kick me off of here. I have to play in there, to be honest. I haven't messed with that stuff too much because honestly, we don't hear that very often. I've heard it once or twice, but usually it's been the exact same thing. Sorry. This download. Oh, it said I had a critical update. I'm running a beta. It should already have it in there, but I lost my train of thought. I saw a squirrel. Sorry.
I saw something today. He said that the doctor called and said, I don't know what HD is, but he said I've got 80 of
them. What was I looking for? I was trying to get that browser. Oh yeah, the Lightburn. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I've got it open now. Let me see if there are any settings like that. I got to move a chat window. I think there is. I'll have to look around, honestly. I'm a little scatterbrained right this minute. That threw me off when I got a warning message on Lightburn. I've never done that before, where it said this is a critical patch.
No.
That's insane. But yeah, if you want to dig deeper into any of that stuff, shoot us an email, and we can kind of go through it a little bit. Even if you want to set up a time to go through it, on a remote session, we can kind of follow through and tweak some stuff and see what happens.
That might work. Appreciate it.
Yep, sure. Anybody else got anything? I guess I'll kill the Hey, I was going to ask you earlier, Jason, how you were.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm actually
Cool.
waiting to get word to get out of here finally.
Awesome, man. I bet you're ready
Still
to
not,
get back to making rotaries.
yeah, it's yeah. Things are getting a little tight around the shop. Being gone as long
Yeah.
as I have. Luckily, my guys have been able to keep things going and on track. But
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I got my parts and I'm going to get those popped out here in just a bit. So I appreciate that. But they got them right on over. So at first
okay,
I saw the Rotoboss thing and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Did he already send me an all metal version? And then I was like, oh no, it's those parts. And I almost just left it out in the rain, but I decided I'd bring it back in.
I got them ready and being made. There's only a few parts that we're waiting on.
Sweet.
So
So the
Well, I'm
metal
sure that
versions
you'll
are
let everybody know when that thing's ready to fire.
oh yeah. As soon as I get back, I need to get some photos and I need to get some videos done and stuff. Um,
Gotcha.
just to
Well, holler at me about that, and I can help with the documentation and stuff like that too. Maybe I can capture some stuff too. So we'll
yeah, just
tinker with
I don't
that.
want to. I'll get them out to you guys so you can do what you need to do with them for as far as Thunder goes. Um, and
Right.
then everybody else will follow through
Word.
October, getting
That
those
sounds
out.
good. I'm looking forward to it, man. So,
Yeah.
also, I don't think I published the last webinar yet, so I'll try to get in there and do that this afternoon, and then I'll get this one posted in the next day or so. So,
Hey,
I
Jason,
guess what
are the metal ones a lot better than the plastic ones, or is it a big cost difference? Just curious.
Right now it's the cost difference is basically $100 for the upgrade, so it's not a whole bunch. Basically, I'm just doing it at cost, what it costs to get the parts made. Um, so that way there's no added cost to anybody else, and the prices of the new ones are reflecting that as well. Um, so there's no, I mean, that's if you have a plastic one, I mean, it really is no better. Um, obviously, metal, it exudes higher quality. You know, when you're paying that kind of money for something, I mean, you deserve what the best you can get and the best that I can give you. So it's kind of, but it's been a work in progress because basically everything's been bootstrapped this whole time. So as I've been able to upgrade, I've made that available to people because the rotary hasn't changed from when it first was made. The only difference is I've upgraded metal parts to the point where it is
yeah,
now. So if you have a plastic one and you want the upgrade, it's going to cost you the same for the upgrade as it would if you bought a new metal rotary versus the plastic rotary before. So
yeah.
there's no cost difference between that. Um, so it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I don't have an old rotary. I'm new and I haven't got my machine yet, but I was just curious because I've heard little talk about the plastic ones, little talk about the metal ones, so I was just trying to get a little education about
I,
what
Yeah, the
the
I've
plastic.
got one of the first. I've got one of the first acrylic ones. I don't even have metal plates on mine, and I still use it. Not every day, but it's the one that I use. The Roto Junior that came with my machine, and I've had it for 2 years, and it's other than the O-rings, everything else has been solid as get out on it. So
Yeah, I mean even the acrylic ones. I mean I have a guy that's got the very first one I ever made, besides
mhm,
my personal prototype,
right.
and I mean he still got it, and it's still working like a champ.
Oh yeah,
Never really had a problem. You know,
yeah.
some
If it
people
ain't
have had
broke, don't
problems.
fix it.
Well, yeah, but some people have had problems. I mean, they're minor things. A lot of it had to
Mhm.
do with shipping, because they are, pieces are plastic, and UPS and them are not the best with our packages these days. So we had some issues. We had some issues with that. But I mean, as far as what's better, I wouldn't really say any one is better than the other. But just from a
Yeah, fit and
metal's
finish
metal,
quality,
plastic's
standpoint, it's
plastic.
definitely an improvement.
Yeah,
yeah,
metal's
fit and
metal,
finish.
plastic's plastic.
Yeah, I mean they have their benefits for metal over plastic, but and for something like this, structurally and stuff like that, the way it functions and the way it works,
Yeah,
there's not really a benefit. you know,
Yeah, maybe a
availability.
little bit tighter tolerances, since you're dealing in that, then it would
Yeah.
be. Maybe it would be negligible, but definitely I think there would be a little bit of a tolerance
Well, there is a
difference there.
tolerance difference because with the plastic and you're printing them,
Yeah.
you could be a half a millimeter off on one piece, or half a millimeter heavy, or
Hmm.
so I mean it just depends on how it prints. So yeah, the consistency and the quality and the
Yeah.
fit and finish is definitely better with metal because
Yeah.
everything's exactly precise and everything's milled out of solid billet aluminum. So
Hmm.
there's no extrusions, there's no molds, there's no casting, there's no nothing. It's all everything's billet. Um, so you don't have to worry about the cracking and things like that that you would have to worry about with like the pot metal aluminum
Yeah.
type stuff.
And it looks sweet too. I like
Yeah,
how
it
you
look.
chamfered the edges.
All
Yeah,
right, thanks. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it.
you're welcome.
Right.
Yeah, I couldn't leave well enough alone. I had to chamfer it because I mean it makes it
All
look
right,
so much
guys. Well, I
better.
guess I'm going to jump off of here. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm good.
Oh, yeah, it definitely does.